Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. On your marks, get set, and spoilers! Okay, these are really getting old now, but yeah, more exciting spoilers. A big batch just came through, including a brand new commander that does something pretty disgusting. Let's jump into it! So we're going to start things off with Pedal to the Metal. I think this is one of the ones that actually we thought we saw the name of, I think, from the teasers for Morrow, but I don't think I realized that's Pedal to the Metal. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, look at that picture. Instant for X and a red. Target creature gets +X/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Now, outside of very specific commanders, like, is it Varic? I can't remember. Whatever the one is that's like, hey, reduces cost based on power for your instants and sorceries. Yeah, that one, which any kind of like a +X with an X spell essentially for that one is like, yes, please. This is more of a specific type card. If you really care about, you know, your power of your commander potentially, then yes. If not, then no. Okay, moving forward. Next up, Goblin Surveyor. Look at that goofy telescope. Wow, you can tell it's goofy because it's crooked. Okay, 3/2 Goblin Scout with Trample for 3 mana in red. Start your engines. Max speed for 3. Exile this card from your graveyard, draw a card. Interesting. Okay, so we are seeing max speed being utilized actually out of the graveyard now as well. So, like, doesn't do anything with the, you know, whole start your engines thing, you know, until it's actually in the graveyard. But at least if you get this in play, it does start off your start your engines counter thing, essentially. So that can take a little while to get to. It's more of a limited card, although, like, there is probably, like, you know, a certain kind of commander out there, like a Samut might consider this just to get earlier, lower to the ground things in play to start the engines earlier than Samut coming into play. If you haven't seen my episode on that one, make sure you check it out. Now moving on. Boom Scholar, a 3/3 Goblin Advisor that is doing something very unadvisable by walking around with lit fireworks for some reason for 3 mana in Gruul. Exhaust abilities of other opponents you control cost 2 less to activate. That's kind of fun. Exhaust for 4 and Gruul colors. Creatures and vehicles you control gain trample until end of turn. Put 2 counters on this creature. I mean, very specific exhaust strategy, sure. Other than that, you're probably not going to be utilizing this or that effect at all. Moving on, we've got Grease Wrench Goblin, a 2/1 Goblin Artificer for a single red mana. For 3 mana in total in red. Discard the 2 cards and draw that many cards. Put a counter on this creature in its exhaust ability, so you can only do that once. Now, how good is that? Like, would that actually see play in a Goblin deck? Depends on the Goblin deck. I would venture to say probably not, but again, it could be some kind of, you know, good card selection for you. It's good early. I mean, that's the kind of the thing with this card these days. You know, it's a 2/1 with no downside. You know, back in the day, it was like, what was it, Jackals or whatever it was? Like, oh my gosh, or Fire Drinker Satyr, you know? Cards are like, oh, it's a 2/1, must have a massive downside. I mean, I guess maybe it would make the cut for certain Goblin decks being a 2/1, essentially, so early, low to the ground, you know, but also gives you potential to get slightly larger later. And of course, yes, that, I mean, Faithless Looting is kind of what I think about, you know, the flashback cost is the exact same, essentially. So, yeah, I mean, why would you not discard 2 cards and draw that many cards? There you go. Why doesn't it say just draw 2 cards? That many. I mean, like, oh, I guess because if you're discarding less than 1. There you go, or less than 2. That makes sense. Yeah, Goblins, consider it. Yeah, card selection plus low to the ground aggression. Cool. Moving on. Stridehanger Automaton. I believe this one's actually from one of the precons. I think the Living Energy precon. A 1/4 construct for 3 mana. Thopters you control get ++1. If one of our artifact tokens that we create under control, those tokens plus additional 1/1 color Thopter artifact creature token with flying create instead. That seems really, really good. So do we have other kind of, you know, commanders out there that are like, okay, if you're making tokens, then make an extra one. Most of those are like creature tokens. Like I'm thinking of that one Selesnya commander. I can't remember her name, but yeah, there's a Selesnya commander that's basically the exact same thing, kind of, but with creatures. This one is like, hey, you know what? Any kind of an artifact token. Again, it is 1 or more. So again, if you like, okay, I make 10 treasures all at once, it's like, okay, you get 1 Thopter. But if you just make 1 treasure, you get one Thopter. Or, I'm saying treasures, but, treasures, clues, other Thopters, any other kind of, artifact tokens that you might be creating for whatever reason. Junk, that's a thing as well. Blood, yeah, that's a token. Okay, I don't know why it's an artifact. Anyways, yeah, if you're making a bunch of tokens with a deck, artifact tokens specifically, this is a good include. And of course, if you've got Thopter Tribal, cool. And even if you're not utilizing any other Thopters outside of what this makes, you're still making 2/2s essentially with this, which is fantastic. So yeah, if you are making a good amount of artifact tokens, and again, literally just like look at the top decks on EDH right now, I think Treasures is second or third. So yeah, if you have a treasure deck, you're like, oh, okay, cool, a giant threat for me because I'm just gonna keep making treasures throughout the game. Prosper fans out there, make a bunch of treasures, make a bunch of Thopters, swing through with my evasive creatures that are all 2/2s. That sounds like a lot of fun. So there you go, have fun. Moving on. Aetheric Amplifier, an artifact for 3, tap for 1 mana of any color, pay 4, tap, choose 1, activate only as a sorcery, double the number of each kind of counter on target permanent, or double the number of each kind of counter you have. Interesting, very interesting. So yeah, I mean, doubling up the number of each kind of counter on you essentially could be like, obviously, energy, I would assume, or if you really want to lose to poison, you're like, I go out on my own terms. I mean, we've all done that, right? We have the whole, I go out on my own terms. I'm going to lose the life myself. If you ever had, a wall of blood in play or whatnot, and someone's going to swing at you, and you're like, that player's got lifelink on the creature. I can prevent them from gaining that life by taking myself out first. Ha 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 ha. With this, you could do that with poison as well. If you really want to do that, sure, why not? But yeah, more so, it's going to be doubling up energy, which can be absolutely massive. So again, if you have an energy deck, yeah, you're going to want to double that up, of course. Also, though, I believe that would work with experience counters. So, experience commanders rejoice. You have, I'm not going to say it's an auto include, but a very, very strong include in an experience counter deck, because I think there's 9 commanders out there that do experience counters. I built an entire deck around, actually, all the experience counters. It was a Jodo deck recently. Go check that out. Regardless, being able to just double those up by paying 4 mana, you're like, yes, please, thank you. Okay. Yeah, that energy, yeah, and then also, of course, just being able to just double the number of counter on each kind of counter on target permanent, obviously can be a very good thing as well, kind of like Varel the Whole Clade-ish. So again, Wizards is doing a good job of finally not just giving us absolute garbage at 3 mana when it comes to mana rocks. Okay, it costs 3, it taps for 1, and if you pay 8 mana and tap it, you draw a card. Wow! No. Yeah, we're finally getting good ones where, yeah, this is a very, very good utility card for essentially, that also counts as ramp, for, again, energy, for poison yourself out, I guess, not really, experience counters, and for, again, if you've got, specific creatures that have counters on them, doubling those up as well. Yeah, it's really cool. Moving on! Aetherflux Conduit, an artifact for 6. This better do something good at 6 mana. Whenever you cast a spell, you get an amount of energy equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Finally! Oh my gosh. Okay, so just stopping right now. Okay, maybe I won't. All right, I gotta read this. Tap, pay 50. Tap, pay 50 energy. Okay. Draw 7 cards. You may cast any number of spells to your hand without paying the mana cost. Wow, that's fun. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and of course, keep in mind that, oh my gosh, yeah, that's pretty gross, because also keep in mind that, again, you do get to gain the energy from those spells that you're casting, so I'm sure there's some info loops that you can do with this, just by being like, okay, I cast the spells. I also cast something like a dramatic reversal, which untaps this. Ha 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 ha. I gain more energy, now I do it again. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, you can have some really crazy, stormy, explosive turns with this, absolutely. Okay, what I was gonna say earlier when I paused, though, was it's kind of interesting, and I'm glad Wizards finally did this, but, yeah, it seemed like energy, which was good in other formats, right? Not good in Commander, really, but finally it's having a time to shine. It didn't really have, any support in Commander. It was, few and far between cards that were good with energy, and, I tried to build an energy deck once, and it was really, really tough to make it work at all, because, there's only so many cards that actually give you energy. They give you, very limited amounts of energy. They're not really a lot of repeatable effects that give you energy. And, the payoffs for getting energy weren't all that good for the most part. This one's you know what? No. You get a ton of energy, an absurd amount of energy throughout the game. And by the way, giant payoff that also gives you more energy. Lovely. So, yeah, being able to just, again, draw 7 and then cast any number for free. Oh my, that better end the game. But again, if it doesn't, you probably have a way to untap this to do it again. So there you go. Yeah, if you have an energy commander, you want this card, literally even just for that first part. If it just stopped on that first part, you'd be like, I'm still going to pay 6 mana for that card. But since you get that at second part, yeah, that's pretty gross. And we'll talk about a commander here in a little bit that would absolutely love this in the deck. Next up, Adaptive Omni Tool. An equipment for 2 mana. Equipped creature gets ++1 for each artifact you control. Whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them, put in your hand, put the rest of them on your library in a random order. Well, that's quite nice. Yeah, I mean, again, the equipped creature, which costs equip 3 to get on there, is going to become quite massive in any kind of an artifact strategy, especially against, since it doesn't say, like, non-token. You can just, oh, I got a ton of treasures in play. Great. My commander or whoever hits for an absurd amount. Again, off the top 6, that's quite a bit. Reveal an artifact, put in your hand, the rest of your bottom library in a random order. So this is not only just like a massive pump effect for any kind of a deck that's built around artifacts, which I believe, according to Aetheric, is the #1 most popular kind of deck actually in Commander right now. And I think Treasures isn't that far behind. So again, like, either one of those would be like, sure, throw this in there. Make my commander into the biggest threat on the table. And then also, by the way, give me card advantage too, especially for the artifact decks, I should say, more so. But yeah, being able to get off the top 6. If you've got an artifact deck, chances are incredibly likely that you gain an artifact off the top 6 into your hand. And maybe you even have a selection to make, you know, like, okay, cool, yeah, that one's better than that one. Yeah, let's take that one. It's a really cool card. Moving on. Territorial Aetherkite, a 6/5 cat dragon, because that's a thing, with flying and haste for 6 mana in red. I don't know why, but like when it comes to dragons, I think dragons should just be dragons. Like I'm fine with a lot of other like combinations of things, you know, but like dragons, we just got like a dinosaur dragon. We've had a horse dragon in the past, and we've already had a cat dragon. I know that, but you know, I just don't like dragon combinations. Like, just let a dragon be a dragon. Can't this just be a cat with wings? I don't know. Anyways, flying haste. When this creature enters, you get... I mean, didn't we get like a bird dragon from Bloomburrow? Okay, anyways, off of that. When this creature enters, you get 2 energy counters. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. When you do, this creature deals that much damage to each other creature. Okay, that's fun. Yeah. This is for an energy deck, quite nice, because it can just be a giant board wipe that says goodbye everything. I mean, at the very least, you can just, you know, pay 2 energy essentially to wipe out small creatures for the most part. Like, I don't know if that's going to make the cut in like a dragon deck in general, but again, I probably wouldn't. Even though it's a 6/5 flying hasty dragon versus back in the day when we had like, was it Rorik's Bladewing, which was like, oh yeah, well, it's a 6/6 with haste. That's probably good enough. And flying. And that's probably good enough. That's all it does. This, yeah, I mean, if you're an energy deck, that is a big let's destroy everything else kind of a card. So sure, you just wipe the board. It does hit your own creatures, so keep that in mind. It just doesn't hit this one. Next up, we got Pima Trailblazer, a 3/3 Elephant Warrior that's coming at me with a sword that costs 3 mana in green, trampling. Whenever this creature deals combination to a player, you get that many energy counters. Exhaust, pay 6 energy, put 2 counters on this creature, then draw cards. You'll the greatest power among creatures you control. Okay, so this one is one that you might, I mean, here's the thing, like I was going to say, obviously energy decks, yes. I mean, energy decks are like, okay, cool. Right away, I could just draw cards, deal the greatest power among creatures I can have, which, I mean, might just be this creature, which is fine. Again, it's going to be 5 power, so you could just be like, okay, I pay 3 mana, I get rid of 6 energy, and all of a sudden I drew 5 cards. Great, good for me. That's awesome. That being said, I do think there are some decks that are going to try to make this work. That might not work. We shall see. I mean, because again, like obviously, like if you just get through twice with this, you get your 6 energy counters, and then you can, you know, get those counters on as draw as cards. If you've got like proliferate effects, I can see that as well. But like, again, like I feel like whenever we see like a draw card to go raise power among creatures, like players' eyes just go like super wide. They're like, yes, that. And they just try to kind of utilize any and all of those effects. If you have like giant creatures in your deck, it's like Rishkar's Expertise, an amazing card, absolutely. But like Rishkar's Expertise, this is not. This, for just a regular deck that's using Rishkar's Expertise, that isn't energy specific. It's going to take a little bit of time to get those energy counters up. Now, if you have some pump effects and other effects as well, great. Because again, it's got trample, so you can get through and get some damage. But yeah, it is going to be one that I feel like it's a very good card. It is a cool card. It is great in an energy deck. And yeah, I mean, you can draw a certain amount of cards with it. It's just, it's going to take some time to actually get to that draw phase with it, essentially. and it might just get dealt with ahead of time if you don't already have the energy for it, and you might be like, well, I built around this, and why isn't it working? It's like, well, you're not building it, and it's not supposed to be in that deck necessarily, maybe. Okay, all right, that's fine. Don't just shove in all of the, you know, greatest power, you know, draw cards into one deck. Just don't do that. Okay, moving on! We've got Rampaging Aetherhood, a 4/4 Snake Hydra for 5 mana in green. Trample Ward 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get an amount of energy equal to this creature's power. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, put that many counters on this creature. Okay, so basically keep building up power and keep building up energy, and it's got Ward 2, and yeah, I mean, this is a Hydra. It grows. That's what it does. So again, essentially, you gain, I guess you gain 4 energy right for the first time. Get an amount of energy equal to its power, so that's 4. Then you could pay 1 or more, so you pay probably 4. When you do put that many counters on this creature, so you get 4. So yeah, I mean, unless you're like storing up energy for any, you could throw this just in a regular Hydra deck, of course, or like a counter strategy, because it's going to keep growing and growing and growing. It's going to go 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64 to 128 to 256 to 512 to 1024. Yeah, I'm not going to keep going. But anyways, it's going to keep getting large very quickly because it's going to keep gaining the amount of energy equal to its power. But yeah, I mean, you might just, if you're an energy deck, not do that. I mean, you're going to keep gaining to a certain point, but then once you get to like 64, you're like, well, I've got that one Aether conduit in play or whatever, and I'm just gonna start tapping that and casting things for free. But yeah, this can be a big threat, obviously. Again, counters, Hydra deck, and energy deck, definitely consider this. And just kind of big stompy as well. Ward is annoying. Moving on. Nissa Worldsoul Speaker. This is gonna be a popular commander. A 3/3 elf druid for 4 mana in green. Landfall. Nissa likes lands. Who knew? Whenever a land you control enters, you get 2 energy counters. You may pay 8 energy rather than pay the mana cost for permanent spells you cast. Okay, this is just a quick aside, all right? Why, just lore mages out there, does it seem like certain characters who, you know, lose their Planeswalker spark and are no longer Planeswalkers, why are they more powerful as creatures than they are as Planeswalkers? I mean, I know one of the Nissas is very powerful as a Planeswalker, but like, yeah, I understand like the lore and the function is different, but yeah, this is a very powerful effect. This is a very powerful commander that allows you to cheat on mana cost. And whenever you have a commander that lets you cheat on mana cost, you can do some crazy, brutal, and broken things. And yes, I know you have to build up the energy to actually get there, but we just talked about a lot of cards that do give you energy already, number 1. Number 2, you play like a fetch land and all of a sudden you get 4 energy counters and you're like, yeah, this is so much more energy than I could have gotten like 3 years ago by building an entire deck around energy at all. So all of a sudden you're like halfway there to be able to cast something massive for free, and you like just play a Harrow or something like that, and there you go, you're there. And of course, again, when it comes to landfall, ramping is already something you want to do. It is also something that is protected in Commander because, well, I mean, at least it comes to land ramp. Destroying lands is a no-no. So you're already incentivized to ramp a ton, get a ton of lands into play, and get a lot of landfall triggers off of this, and all of a sudden get an absurd amount of energy, and then just cheat massive thing after massive thing after massive thing after massive thing after massive thing into play. In fact, some of them, you cheat into play, and all of a sudden you get like more lands in play, then you cheat something else into play, you get more lands in play. There are some gross, brutal, amazing things that you can do with this commander, and I do believe it's going to be a very popular one. And of course, it's going to be one that I want to dive into with a quick take. Let's go into it. First up, Evolving Wilds. Again, very simple, very effective. I mentioned like, hey, fetch lands, go with this commander, obviously. But yes, even a budget-friendly one like this 5-cent Evolving Wilds, great. Just put it in play. Oh, cool, I get 2 energy counters. Tap, sacrifice it, go get a forest. Okay, cool, I get 2 more energy counters. That was easy. I'm halfway there to literally playing a giant card that I shouldn't be able to play anywhere near as early as I'm playing it, essentially. Architect of the Untamed. Nissa's best friend. A 2/3 Elf Artificer Druid for 3 mana in green. Whenever a land enters battlefield under control, you get an energy. So you get an extra energy now. So all of a sudden, instead of it being 2, you now get 3. Lovely. Also, pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I had to count that out. Pay 8 energy. Create a 6/6 colorless beast artifact creature token. I feel like once they get to a certain number, maybe they switched that over more recently. Like they just write the number instead of being like, you gotta count it. It's like, no, just tell me what it is. I think it's 8 though. But yeah, basically make a 6/6. So have fun with that. Number 1, you can make an absurd amount of tokens with this in combination with Nissa, of course. I mean, literally just like 3 lands in play and you get a 6/6. Great. Lovely. Fun. Speaking of fun, finally a spot for electrostatic I said plumber. Pummeler, not a plumber. Anyways, the Pummeler is a 1/1 construct for 3 mana. Enters the battlefield to get 3 energy counters by paying 3 energy. It gets +X until the turn exits power. Basically, it doubles. Then it doubles again. So here we go again, like I said earlier. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, then to 8, then to 16, then to 32, 64, etc., etc., etc. So yes, you can have this very easily with this commander become a one-shot KO on anyone, which is hilarious again because it is literally just a 1/1. And of course, if you have any other pump effects, it can make it a bit easier to get there. But still, again, when you're making so much energy with your commander and other things that you have as well, this little 3 mana creature that you just put into play, I mean, it just could be it's probably the most powerful card in the world, but it's just a fun way to take someone out. And you're like, oh, you don't have any blockers up, do you? And they're like, no, why do you ask? And then you swing and you hit them for 1,000,000. Why not? Harrow, already mentioned that one, but yeah, sacrifice a land. Go get 2 basics and play untapped. Again, even though you're only going up 1 land, technically, you do get 2 landfall triggers, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, the more landfall triggers, the better. Aetherworks Marvel. Again, we only had so many ways to actually really get energy in the past, right? There's only so many, like, repeatable ways, and this was one of them. Ledger artifact for 4. Whenever a permanent you control is put in a graveyard, you get an energy. Cool, so now when I sacrifice my Evolving Wilds, I get 5 energy because I sacrificed that plus the 4 from Nissa. Tap, pay 6, look at the top 6 cards of your library, make cast spell for 1 without paying its mana cost. The rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. So yeah, that could be something that gets you more lands, which gets you more energy again. Or it just could be something absolutely massive that you were going to cast anyways with Nissa, but now you can just cast it for basically cheaper too and off the top of your library as well. Again, when you're building this deck, you're going to have like ways to ramp, ways to get energy, and then just massive haymakers that you're going to throw into play. So you're going to hit those haymakers with this too. Speaking of a haymaker though, Scape Shift. Yeah, this is a combo win card in other formats, and sure, combo win card in Commander sometimes too, I guess, but with this, it's just like, hey, you know what? You want like a lot of energy? Source your 4 mana, sacrifice any number of lands, search life for up to that many land cards, put them on battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. Keep in mind that that does allow you to select what lands they are. It's not just, you know, basics essentially, but still being able to go get whatever lands you want and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got 7 lands in play. Cool. I'll sacrifice those. I will go get 7 more lands. I get 14 energy. Thank you, Commander. Lovely. So yeah, a lot of energy to be had from there. Speaking of which, Cultivator Colossus, I mean, its price just kind of came down a little bit, at least from what I remember, but it's going to go right back up. Star, plant beast with trample for 7 mana in green. Power and toughness each equal to the number of lands you control when this creature enters. You may put a land card for your hand on the battlefield, tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. Now, rules lawyers out there, this is something that's definitely going to confuse some people out there, I am sure. And maybe I'm the one who's confused on it, but this entire thing has to resolve before you could actually be like, oh, wow, while this is happening, I'm going to spend 8 energy and then play something else. No. Even though this is getting lands into play for you, I don't believe anything else would be able to resolve, or you could cast anything else while this is all happening. It's got to resolve all at once, okay? So regardless, yeah, get a ton of lands into play, get more energy. What's not to love about that, while also drawing cards too, it's a gross card that also is just grossly large too, because you're going to be playing so many lands. Next up, you want to be mean? Portal of Phyrexia, such a mean card. Artifact for 9, enters battlefield, each one sacrifices 3 creatures. That is 9 creatures sacrificed in total. Again, for free. I mean, 8 energy or whatever, but basically free. Being up, keep a target creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield to control, say, Phyrexia to other types. So yeah, if it's in opponents, great. If it's, you know, Cultivator Colossus because it died, great. Even better because I get even more lands into play. Lovely. How about Reshape the Earth? Why not? Let's just cast that, all right? And it's like, well, I can't cheat this into play because it's, you know, not a permanent, but you're in green. You're ramping. Your entire deck just wants you to ramp. Yeah, you're going to get to 9 mana. Search life to 10 land cards, put on battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. That is 20 energy for you to have, which equals 2 free things for you to play. Or if Nissa's friends in play, a lot more than that. I mean, 1 more than that, I guess. It'd be close to 32, but it's at 30. Okay, Apex Devastator. Keep in mind that this is letting you actually play the card. It's not like, all right, it's not like put it on the battlefield, okay? Some of those things are like, all right, yeah, from your hand, put things on the battlefield. No. You are still casting them. You're just casting them with 8 energy. So you get Apex Devastator triggers. 10/10 Chimera Hydra for 10 mana, or just 8 energy with this commander. Cascade. Did I say the right amount? Anyways, you cascade 4 times, which is so much value to be had. And again, you're going to be hitting so much value with it, and just some other massive things, or just more land ramp, which gets you more things. Yeah, some like Team Sabretooth things in this might be able to help with some of these massive ETBs, or just, you know, whoops, scroll too far. Blightsteel Colossus, your opponents. Why not? You know, again, this is Eldrazi, or I mean Phyrexians or whatever. Like Nissa was a Phyrexian at one point, right? Or whatever. So, you know, why not? Why doesn't Nissa just have some Eldrazi and Phyrexian friends? Why not? You know, just let's take players out with some poison. Why not? 11/11 Golden Trample in effect for 12 mana in total. It is indestructible. Also the whole graveyard shuffle thing. But yeah, basically a one-shot KO on any player. So yeah, if you're set up properly, I'm sure you could like turn 4, get this out with this commander, and you're like, okay, great. Is that a fun game? And they're like, oh gosh, no. And then next turn you just drop a Cultivator Colossus, and then your opponents are probably pretty done. They're pretty done with all this. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. As always, comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.